Hey YouTube. Hey, I've pretty much finished up the windows in the elevated hunting blind. I did have some windows put in here but not all of them, during hunting season, and I've pretty much now got it all complete. So let me show you what we ended up doing. Uh, Looked around the house, and I found a few cedar boards. So what I did is I took those, I cut them into strips, and then I cut some slots in them, basically using the table saw. And what I ended up with is these slots are about 120 thousandths, almost about an eighth of an inch, the blade width, of the saw. Well, I found some plexiglass that was 80 thousandths thick. Now this plexiglass, it moves a little bit, but I have not had any issues with the wind popping these out from the force of the wind. So they seem to have worked out pretty good so far. What I'm doing today is I'm just putting the knobs on them. What I came up with for knobs was these little brass knurled nuts. Basically, they're this little. I found these in the specialty hardware bins at Lowe's, and then I bought some brass screws to put on there. So, and I'm just using some thread locker on the threads to keep them from, coming unthreaded, and so I don't really have to torque them on that plexiglass. So all I did was buy some plexiglass. I scored it and broke it so that it fit the dimensions of the windows. Just scored it with a razor blade. So now I've just got this knurled nut to use as a knob, and I can slide the windows back and forth. Now, one thing that I don't like is that I use the same boards that I cut to make the sides, and if this is off just a little bit, the window don't necessarily want to fit in there. This one fits in fine, but if you go to this one, it doesn't want to fit in. So something ain't lying there. And also, I just kind of wonder, this cedar right here is really swelled and wet from rain, if that's causing a little bit of swelling to keep the window, from wanting to move. And you're going to want to be able to move these easily and quietly. So overall, though, it's all closed in. The animals should be kept out, and the wind and the rain should be kept out. So that's good. One other thing we did is we start off with two panes and everything, and you can open left or right. Wasn't for sure if that ended up being real good, because you can either only kind of shoot left or only kind of shoot right, and anyway, not real happy with the way that ended up. So on this other front window, we made it with three panes. I don't know if you can see that real well, but we cut that into three so that you can move the center section out of the way, and then you should be able to shoot left, right, and center from that middle section. So keep that in mind. If you got a long window, you might use three panes. We just put the two back panes, the left and right panes, in the back slot, and we put this center pane in the front slot. And so you can still just open the center, or you can move and open the left if you wanted to, if you really want to shoot that direction. Gives you a little more flexibility on your shot. I did forget the pieces. I have them, but I forgot them to put in this side. So that's the only one that's missing some sides right now. Now, overall, after it's all done and said, and after we've hunted in it, and I'll tell you what I don't really like about these windows, just on the basic construction. So let me sit down here. Okay, sitting in the hunting blind here, looking out the window, you can see that pretty much from my hand up, I don't need to see any of that. I can see all the fields from here down. So these windows are about twice as tall as they need to be. So I should have made these are 2 foot tall, and I should have made them 1 foot tall. So that is a lot bigger window for the deer to be able to see your shadow in here moving around. So I should have made them not as tall. And the second thing that I don't like about the actual construction or design of the window itself in the building is I built this at 36 inches, which is basically the same height as a shooting bench. And instead of shooting flat and level, we are shooting downhill. So now your gun's too high, and to alleviate that, I've basically had to put two pads in my seat, just to elevate me up so I could shoot downhill. So What I would do if I did this over, instead of having a 36-inch high, I would have put the windows at 30 inches high, so I could have shot more down. And if you think that's too low, you can always put some kind of a shooting bag or something under it to elevate the gun, but you can't bring the gun back down. So I would go with 30 inches for the bottom window height, and I would have done 1-foot tall windows. So I hope these are some suggestions that you could use if you make your own elevated hunting blind. And that's what the windows look like from the outside. I think it turned out pretty decent. Thanks for watching, YouTube.